How can you come to a wet fit and don't expect for you to get wet? You don't know it's blows you go get. You watching SAT TV.
Bring out the reading, SAT Telecoms.
Welcome to SAT TV News. I am Alicia George, your presenter. In our top stories, Dominican police officer receives award by British High Commission. West Trinidad in darkness following fire. New STD superbug may be deadlier than AIDS, kills in a matter of days. And in sports, Malta Harlem United secure comfortable victory over DAS supporters. Details of these will follow. Welcome back. In continuing its work to realize the formation of an agricultural policy, officials from the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Wildlife and Parks Division, farmers and other stakeholders in the agriculture sector, for a second time gathered at the La Flamboyant Hotel in Roseau on Tuesday, January 22, 2014. The goal of the island is to complete an agriculture policy that will set out the strategic objectives of the sector for the period 2014 to 2018 by April 2014. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry, Mr. Eisenhower Douglas, stated the second consultation builds on the foundation laid from the first held at the Garway Hotel on January 14, 2014.
The preparation of the policy, we see it as a very participatory, exercise. We really rely on your feedback as we embark on this particular journey, because many of you are actually involved in the agriculture sector on a day-to-day basis. Some of you earn your income from the agriculture sector. So there are a lot of insights that you would have that we in the Ministry of Agriculture will not have. So our role is to ensure that the enabling environment for the agricultural development and so on is in keeping with what is required for the unique circumstances of Dominica being a small island developing state.
He stated when embarking on a program like this, it is critical to first identify and be clear as to what the problem is in terms of production, income, employment, earnings, risks, and climate change. The policy must respond to the problems, and after this has been identified, a diagnosis to the problem and prescription to manage it must also be rationalized.
Of sustainability, and sustainability is a multidimensional matter. You have environmental or ecological sustainability. You want to ensure that the activities that you're engaging in is not destroying the environment. Or adversely impacting the environment, because you rely on the environment, the natural environment, to sustain life. So that's one dimension of sustainability. But there's also the dimension of economic sustainability. And some people even talk about institutional sustainability and social sustainability. Sustainability is a multidimensional issue. But the sustainability has to do with continuity, okay? And the core definition has emerged from the Brundtland Commission report, which is a UN commission chaired by the Prime Minister of Norway. They reported in 1987 that development is sustainable when it meets the needs of the current generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs.
The goal is that at the end of the series of consultations, the stakeholders would have assisted the Ministry of Agriculture in compiling a draft policy, which will be finalized for Cabinet's approval. The Ministry is hoping to complete this process before Easter so that the new policy can take effect in the new fiscal year, which commences on July 1st, 2014. In other stories, speaking at a donation ceremony on Tuesday, January 21st, Vice President of the Rotary Club of Dominica, Mr. Adler Hamlet, said the club will seek to go above and beyond the call to educate and sensitize the public about the shortcomings of persons with disabilities.
We as the Rotary Club will seek to go beyond just the education or the education aspect, but also to look at the projects that we engage in to ensure that there is a component of it that addresses or speaks particularly to the mobility of the disabled persons.
This statement was in response to a challenge brought forward by Director of the Dominica Association of Persons with Disabilities, DAPD, Mrs. Natalie Murphy, to formulate an education program for persons with disabilities, particularly as it refers to access to mobility. Mr. Hamlet noted that in the formulation of future projects, the club will seek to sensitize persons involved in the projects so that it reflects positively on their behalf.
In the formulation of our projects in the future, I think we're going to become much more sensitized, or the club is going to sensitize those persons involved in the project to ensure that persons with disability are considered in the design and implementation aspect of programs and projects in the future.
He indicated that he looks forward to continue in efforts put forward to assist the DAPD. In collaboration with the Rotary Club of Trinidad, the Rotary Club of Dominica has received and will donate 75 wheelchairs, 25 of which have already been sent to the Rotary Club of Antigua. In more stories, 2 vehicles were left badly damaged following a vehicular accident on the Fonkole Highway on the night of Wednesday, January 22, 2014. The vehicles involved were Toyota RAV4, registration number PH904, and a Mitsubishi Outlander, registration number TJ939. The incident occurred when the RAV4, being driven in a northerly direction, collided with the Outlander, being driven in a southerly direction, shortly before 7 p.m. Upon collision, one of the tires of the Outlander ripped off, causing the driver to lose control, which caused the vehicle to skid across the opposite lane before coming to a stop. The force of the impact was so violent that both front airbags of the Mitsubishi Outlander were deployed. The RAV4 had 2 passengers at the time of the accident. However, it was unclear the number of occupants in the Outlander. Reports are that the injuries as a result of the accident were minor. The Chief of Police has congratulated Acting Assistant Superintendent of Police Matthew Coffey on the attainment of a prestigious Indictment Award, as he is the first Dominican to receive it. This award is sponsored by the Embassy of the United States and the British High Commission, and is bestowed on proficient investigators within the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States. The 2013 award was presented to Mr. Coffey by Her Excellency Victoria on Wednesday, January 22nd, 2014.
I hope you will take it as an encouragement to keep going and to encourage other officers and members of the police force to do the same. We're hugely grateful to you for your work. We hope to continue to have great cooperation with you, and many congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. I hope that will have pride of place on your office wall.
Yes, I do.
ASP Coffey is a 27-year veteran in the field of investigations. He has distinguished himself as a proficient and industrious investigator, having successfully investigated a number of serious crimes in the Commonwealth of Dominica.
One thing I can say is that hard work really pays off, and I've been in that field for quite a long time. As the Chief rightly said, I really enjoy what I do and also encourage others to take a leaf from my tree. Okay? So I just hope that in itself can really be a form of encouragement for those who are working with me and by extension to those who are in the House District. So once again, I'm very pleased to have received this award. I'm very thankful, and please extend my many thanks to Mr. Don Sutter. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well done again.
Chief of Police Daniel Caban spoke highly of ASP Coffee after receiving the award.
ASP Coffee in the field of investigation has been for some time head and shoulders above the rest. As a matter of fact, he's the operations commander for the major crimes unit. He seems to be enjoying that field and he's very successful at it. Almost every major crime in the island, he has his fingerprint in the solving of it. I'm very pleased and I'm happy to know that the British High Commission in conjunction with the US Embassy would have bestowed on him a very prestigious award. And I hope that will only encourage him to work even much harder.
And in more news, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit was on Wednesday, January 22nd, graced with the presence of Her Excellency Victoria Dean, the British High Commissioner to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. During the discussions, he highlighted Dominica has a cordial relationship with the United Kingdom for centuries, even after Dominica's independence.
The United Kingdom has been a steadfast partner in many areas of our development. We have several of our families, relatives resident in the United Kingdom, all of whom are making a positive contribution to the economic and social development of the United Kingdom. Notwithstanding the fact that we have relations with the EU, the bilateral relations between the UK and Dominica has remained very active. We have cooperation in a number of areas, but more particularly in the area of security. I've had the occasion to write to your Prime Minister thanking the government of the UK for the assistance on the security front.
Mr. Skerrit noted Dominica, with the cooperation of the United Kingdom, has been able to curb the incidences of drug trafficking throughout the Caribbean waters. He added he is looking forward to working closely with the Commissioner. Her Excellency Victoria Dean expressed pleasure in meeting with Mr. Skerrit and President Charles Safre.
I'm delighted to hear what you've had to say and what your President had to say to me earlier this morning about both the strength and the breadth of that important bilateral cooperation, as you say, alongside and in partnership with the European Union as well. And again, to hear you highlight the security sector as a really important area for work. I'm delighted that we've been able to offer assistance. I hope that has been of the really kind of pragmatic, hands-on, capacity-building operational type. I think that's where we have some expertise and where perhaps we can be most useful. I think there's more to do, so I suspect that we will have to talk about this area of work quite a bit over my 4 years here.
She added the United Kingdom will continue to support Dominica in a way that targets their needs. In other stories, speaking at a conference on Wednesday 22nd January, hosted to declare 2014 as the year for productivity in Dominica, former government productivity consultant Mr. Parry Bellet indicated that the lack of productivity in developing countries must be addressed. He further noted that Dominica, as one of the best examples of a country lacking productivity, needs to improve its productivity standards.
You wouldn't believe how unproductive that government service is here. No, it's not only Dominica, it's all the Caribbean. Dominica is probably one of the worst ones. It is really, really bad at all levels. From the minister's level, the permanent secretaries, and down the line. You ask for something to be done, which you know can be done in a day or two, and it's literally taking a week or 2 weeks.
For many years, Mr. Bellet has been pushing to highlight and resolve the lack of productivity here on the island, and believes the reason there is a need for increased productivity is to generate greater income.
So people have to be sensitive to the fact that productivity is an important concept and that it works and we can give examples where it's working, where the people are getting more money, where the company is getting more money, where the government through taxes is getting more money. So it works for all sectors.
He noted that the attitude of employees in the workplace highly affects productivity.
Part of the problem with the public services, a lot of the people there simply don't care about the result. They pass it out, and maybe they expect it to be done. In the private sector, generally, the GM or the senior account passes out something, he's generally following up, is it done? When is it going to be done? What is the problem there? The guy doesn't bother the senior person, he passes out the government as far as he's concerned, he has done his work, he has passed it out to be done. Half the time it's not done.
He blamed the system and the communication order of the hierarchy for not enforcing proper strategies. Taking the initiative, Mr. Bellot announced that a productivity council has been implemented aimed at improving productivity on the island. In more stories, Acting Deputy Fire Chief at the Dominica Fire and Ambulance Department, Mr. Anthony Williams, is urging the public to put safety first when igniting fires. This statement follows a recent bushfire in Canefield East on the night of Tuesday, January 21st at about 4 p.m. caused by a gardener who lit small portions of dry bush that grew out of control.
It must be understood that we just came from the rainy season, and very, very interesting to note January, few days in January that the sun has been so hot and the mud could have been so dry. So we want to use that opportunity for us to advise the gardeners, the farmers, and whoever they are, that they must exercise caution when it comes to burning for the purpose of gardening.
According to Mr. Williams, this is one of the areas prone to bushfires.
Touching the scene, right on the Canefield Flat, we were able to see, that conflagration, and a lot of bush was burning. However, when we arrived on the scene itself, we were able to do some quick work to contain the fire that was very close to the various houses.
The acting deputy has asked that persons burning fire take precaution by resorting to burn small piles and by creating buffer zones to prevent further spread of the fire. Areas along the west coast are mainly prone to bushfires, particularly as the rainy season appears to be over and the heat intensifies.
We're going to have some action here, and given the magnitude of the sun, the kind of heat that is going to be generated during this hot season, what we usually call the current season. We're expecting a lot of bushfires, and hence the reason why we're asking people to enjoy this sort of the area to exercise some caution.
Mr. Williams, in closing, stressed that persons safeguard themselves during an ignited fire and immediately call the fire department at 448-2890, 88 or 89.
Every household should have, let's say, a fire extinguisher. But if you do not have a fire extinguisher, you may have a garden hose. To use some water to extinguish a fire in the incipient stage. However, once this has gotten out of control, then you have the only form of defense is to get out of the property and save yourself.
A symposium of the Dominican Cricket Umpires Association took place on Saturday, January 18th at the conference room of the Windsor Park Stadium, where they discussed a number of matters according to President of the Dominica Cricket Umpire Association, Mr. Lennox Abraham. He said one of the main purposes of the symposium was to ratify the association's outdated constitution.
But apart from this, we are also hoping to look at a planning committee to celebrate our 50th anniversary, because 50 years ago this association was formed and it's one of the oldest associations in Dominica. So we are hoping that we can do some work on that, get our plans together so we can really celebrate our 50th anniversary. Apart from this, we'll also be reviewing the cricket season of last year and looking forward to the new cricket season. And this year we are one step ahead. Mr. Doc Trove and Mr. Bruno and myself, we met and we went through the playing conditions for the league, and we are hoping to submit it to the Dominica Cricket Association in the course of next week.
Mr. Abraham highlighted one of the main challenges faced by the association is in attracting young umpires.
Fortunately for us, for the last 2 years, we were able to attract a few of them, 5 of them to be more precise, and if you recall that all of them did very well in their final written examination. This year they did the practical and oral, and we're expecting results to be out anytime soon. From the confidence of the candidate, it seems that they are quite upbeat that they have done well. So we are hoping that we will be able to have at least 100% pass. Well, the candidates who sat the exams would be Delroy George, Michael Rui, Matthew Ogis, Claudius Lestrade, and Andy Williams.
According to him, umpiring in a young person's eye is not very attractive, and that when you look at the career of an umpire, you see him standing in the sun for up to 6 hours per day, depending on the cricket match. Abraham is urging all interested young persons to get involved in umpiring, as it is much more rewarding than when they started years ago.
In order to become a fully qualified umpire, first of all, you would have to do a local written examination set out by the Dominica Cricket Umpires Association. And based on that exam, we would recommend you to do the West Indies Cricket Umpires Association exam. And if you pass that, you qualify to do the practical and the oral exam. And that in itself is very challenging because you have to go out there with a senior umpire. He has to assess you, and then your grades are sent to Trinidad, and based on your grades you qualify to do the oral practical. So when the results come from the practical oral, these umpires I spoke to about, they are the ones that would have done the practical and oral.
It takes about 3 to 4 years for one to be a fully qualified umpire. And in more stories, the community of St. Joseph officially opened its 2014 Carnival with a lunch on Wednesday, 22nd January at the Matthew Hall in St. Joseph. St. Joseph, described as the most vibrant carnival community in Dominica, was home of former Cadas-Lipso musician Jeff Joe. Miss Amalie Jameson noted that the community's opening day parade will be different from that of the past.
We'll be having our grand opening ceremony, which is on the 15th, and this year, 15th of February, and this year we do plan to make it a different opening from what you've seen from the past. So in addition to our parade, which of course will begin from the highway coming down towards the village, we'll also be having a grand opening ceremony right on the Fisheries ground on the main street.
The parade will begin at 3 p.m. There has not been confirmation on the stage acts for the parade. However, it is hoped that a variety of local bands will be added to the calendar of events.
We have local Calypsonians, and they have decided to come together along with a small committee from the St. Joseph Village Council. They have decided to come together to do a Calypso competition, and we have so far about 10 Calypsonians plus more and counting who are willing to take part in that Calypso competition.
The village will host its own pageant titled Miss West on the 2nd of March at the Caleb John Laura Primary School, and will include 6 participants from the community of Salisbury, Campbell, Hollyhoe, Maho, Bells, and St. Joseph. Meanwhile, Honorable Kelva Daru, parliamentary representative of the St. Joseph constituency, applauded the community for their continued efforts, adding that he himself will make a contribution towards the carnival activities.
I want to thank you for the contribution that you have made, and now you are passing on that talent to the younger generation. This is commendable of you, and you are still going strong, building the costume and making yourselves available. And that is why, as the parliamentary representative, I felt it necessary to make a contribution towards the Sensei Group to ensure they can continue to keep the development of the Sensei costume alive and to ensure that they can continue to build the costume.
This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.
The management of SAT Telecommunications Limited would like to inform its viewers that Inside Issues and all SAT Telecom's live programs will be aired on Channel 6. Please take note.